This is Sunday Truth, broadcasting from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this show, we police the state of truth in the Republic. And because truth is communicated to us by journalists and analysts, we have made it our civic duty at the Fort Hall School of Government to put it to the test. We advance from two confirmed truths about the media. One, and according to Roger Stone, the media is either lazy or evil. And for the most part, it is both evil and lazy. That is why the truth, their truth, must be put to a test.
Yes.
Two, another confirmed truth is that journalism is verified gossip. In fact, what is presented to us as news analysis is gossip that has been verified by journalists. This gossip has to be ground truthed. And so for the next 2 years, we will monitor talking heads on TV and social media. We will assess the state of truth in what they submit to the Republic, and we will pass verdict on what is true and what is not. For the record, we are not journalists. We are thinkers. We are not lazy or evil. We are thinkers. And we do not verify gossip. What we give you is the truth that sets you free. Welcome 2M, welcome 2J.
Yes.
Why don't you kick us off, 2M?
Fantastic. This week, the current hustleress, that is Shulei, asked how we can have a referendum during COVID.
How irresponsible can I be as a leader if I begin to go to a no campaign and on a referendum that is unnecessary when people are dying?
Yes.
Shulei and her masters have been on record saying that Kenya should stop everything it's doing to address this scourge. Look, we will not downplay the effects of this ravaging pandemic. It's wreaked havoc globally. We know that, but it never stopped the world from moving. And by the way, COVID isn't as big of a killer as malaria is, at least in Kenya. Every year since time immemorial, Kenya records 10,000 malaria deaths. From 2005 to 2020, 10,000 people died every year from malaria. Did we stop having a referendum in 2005 and one in 2010 because of malaria? Did you even know malaria has probably killed 10 times more people than corona has this year? Point is this: if malaria was and still continues to be more brutal than COVID, why didn't we stop everything we did then and fought malaria? We did not. We put up mosquito nets, bought mosquito repellent, stored quinine, and moved on with life.
Precisely.
Right? But that's not all. Kenya wouldn't be the only country to do a referendum during COVID. 73 countries, including the world's biggest democracy, USA, have held elections and referendums. Take note, America has lost 286,000 people to COVID. Kenya has lost 1,500 people to COVID. At least 45 countries have held elections that were initially postponed due to COVID. And therefore we ask, if 73 countries can do it, why not us? And what is wrong with the referendum anyway?
Yes.
Are we not buying political insurance just in case country goes down a spiral again just because of an election? Who is ready to lose 1 trillion shillings just because we cannot agree on elections?
Yes.
Exactly.
Why do we forget so easily?
Yes.
I will end with a story for Uhuru Kenyatta. Once upon a time, a donkey, a miller, and his son set out on a journey to the market. The three were walking happily with the son aboard the donkey. Then they passed a group of men who exclaimed, "What a lazy son, letting his father walk when he rides the donkey." And so the miller lowered his son and climbed on the donkey. Shortly, another crowd of women exclaimed, "What a lazy man, riding his donkey as his little son walks." And so the miller grabbed his son and they both rode the donkey. But then they met a man who told them that they were overloading the donkey. And so they tied the donkey to a long pole and carried it on their shoulders. But as they crossed the bridge, the rope that tied the donkey cut and the donkey fell into the river and drowned. To Uhuru, therefore, every Kenyan has some advice on how he should run Kenya or BBI and the economy. But Uhuru should give them the content card. Uhuru should do what Uhuru needs to do.
So true. Very, very true.
Brilliant story there.
And I think it's quite funny. 2M and I both had the unfortunate luck of having to watch the same JKL live segment with Gladys Chalet and Jennifer Shamala. 2M, I think you tackled that quite well. And as I normally do, I will continue to speak to my friend Gladys Chalet. And today I have one question for her. What are your intentions? Are you fighting for the people of Kenya, like you claim? Or are you a mouthpiece for hire that wants to fill up more time than actually saying things that are true? I ask this because I'm genuinely confused. And it's a combination of comical and frustrating to watch her attempts to dismantle this constitutional moment.
If you remember that when you say constitution making process and that it's coming from the people, the way this was not the case in this one. The clamor for a constitutional amendment that happened in the past and came up to 2010 was actually from the people. There was protests, there was the Sabasaba, there was this, and it came from the people. But this particular constitutional amendment, everyone knows, it started on the steps of Harambee House as a private initiative called the handshake of two people.
It's like a game of whack-the-mole, where just after attempting to make one point, she jumps and pops up elsewhere and makes up another one. It's impossible to keep up, and it actually isn't contributing to discourse. And I watched Honorable Jennifer Shamala struggle with that very same thing on JKL this week. It was like watching a high school debate where your opponent knows that they've lost. So they wear you down with a merry-go-round of irrelevant points until you give up. But just for my own sanity, I've narrowed down Chalet's issues down to 2 points. And I want to address them and explain to her why she is wrong. First, she is convinced that the amendments presented are not required to be passed via referendum. And 2, she believes that the consultation with the public has not been sufficient. So to break down her confusion, I will start with my conclusion and then I will work backwards. Simply put, someone is afraid that the referendum will reveal the will of the people. Let us not forget that the steering committee spent 2 years on the ground engaging people and collecting their views. The referendum is the fruit of that labor.
Absolutely.
If the DP's camp is so confident in their position, let the referendum happen and let's prove the handshake wrong if that's what they think. But they won't, because it's a gamble that William Ruto cannot afford to lose. It is easier and cheaper to hire half-baked talking heads to spit falsehoods than it is to come to terms with his losing agenda. So instead, he's playing games with the fate of Kenya and her citizens. And unfortunately, this has created 2 things: confusion and the opportunity for misdirection. The art of misdirection is all about deception. A lot of magicians use this. Here, the performer draws the audience's attention to one thing in order to distract them from another. So what does Gladys Boss Chalet intend to distract us from? In my opinion, she doesn't want us to see the merits of the BBI proposal. So she spends her time focusing on semantics and process, all instead of looking at substance. Why? Because she has nothing. I think that as a country, we have agreed on some things. Our economy can't lose trillions just because of a silly election. I cannot kill my neighbor because his tribe and mine do not agree. And we cannot glorify a single seat called the presidency in order to lock out everyone else. And if we agree on those things, then our constitution provides a solution. We take it to the people. Simple. A constitution is not a death sentence. And changing it is not suicide. We must not forget that taking a decision to the people is the highest form of democracy. It is the ultimate test of whether your proposals are satisfactory for the masses. The handshake is prepared to take this test. The others are not. So just like in our introduction that JM gives, we will be spending the next 2 years fighting against narratives that are false, broken, and misleading. The fourth estate won't, so the fifth estate will. Cheesy, I know.
Fire.
And for the record, this is the last time I will be addressing my best friend Gladys Chalet, because frankly, I'm bored and I think it's unfair to pick on an easy target.
She's really made a match in you.
She has.
Allow me to say. Now, today I want to take on Madeira MP Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, who on the 2nd of December spoke on behalf of the Deputy President during the small meeting of, by the way, not more than 70 elected leaders at the Deputy President's official residence in Karen.
Oh, yes.
And there were really not more than 70, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Number of over 140,
yes,
those were
not
has-beens.
true.
Not
Yes.
true. That was debunked. Now, here's what Honorable Gachagua had to say.
Yes.
We have been asked what we mean by consensus. The consensus we seek and this country needs is in relation to content, process, and timing. In short, we must agree on the what, the how, and when. The consensus is to align the process with its founding objectives and bring it closer to the dreams and aspirations of Kenyans. By content, we mean we resolve outstanding issues through consensus, including issues on judicial independence, bloated government and legislature, equity and equality in the presentation and affirmative action, among others. By process, we mean providing a multiple choice plebiscite to prevent the rejection of good ideas. By timing, we mean we should hold the referendum in 2022 together with the general election in order to save costs and redirect available resources to mitigating the effects of COVID-19.
Let me first tackle this issue of consensus,
Finally.
which the DP is abusing willy-nilly.
Yes.
You know, the most important question for us to ask, dear Kenyans, is what is the threshold for consensus in our democracy? And I repeat, for the sake of emphasis, what is the threshold for consensus? And have we met it? Now, the noisy minority led by the Deputy President would have us believe that BBI has not been a product of consensus. And that is far from the truth, as you said, even to Jay. You know, decision-making processes in political systems fall into two broad categories.
Yes.
The first is decision-making by consensus. And strictly speaking, what this means, what this model requires, is that all participating agents possess veto rights over a collective outcome. In other words, decisions have to be arrived at unanimously. That's what we mean when we talk about decision-making by consensus. And the alternative to that model is decision-making by majority rule. Now, that is a system we as a country subscribe to. This system permits the views and interests of the majority to prevail over those of minorities. And to ensure that there's a sense of representative democracy, most democracies, and even ours, require an endorsement of 50% plus one or 2/3 amongst the legislative assemblies or the electorate. Now, if you look at our political parties today, if you consider the viewpoints of those of the leaders of those parties, if today they were to vote by acclamation, even, you will find that more than 2/3 of them, as well as the electorate, have endorsed BBI already. We have collected 5.2 million signatures in 2 weeks. So have we not attained consensus? We have attained consensus. According to Kenyan laws, according to Kenyan norms, according to Kenyan customs, we have. And all that now remains is to formalize these sentiments of the body politic at the ballot. And that is why they're quaking in their boots, these noisy minorities. And I'd like to conclude finally by asking the question, in all of this, does William Ruto want to be the predator or the prey? Politics, as you know, is largely a zero-sum game. In order for somebody to win, somebody has to lose. Adam Morgan, the author of the book Eating the Big Fish, How Challenger Brands Can Compete Against Brand Leaders, put it best when he said, marketing is like a knife fight in a phone booth. You remember those phone booths? Remember how small they are? It is a space for only one. Now you put like 4 or 5 people in there with knives.
Will not end well.
That is what it's like. Indeed, the same can be said of politics. It's like a knife fight in a phone booth. There isn't anywhere to hide.
Yep.
There isn't any place for bystanders. Everyone has to choose a side. Do they want to be predator or prey? Because if they don't choose, the choice gets made for them.
Absolutely.
And the DP is dilly-dallying. It's very obvious he's looking like he's going in the no side. He obviously wants to be the prey, not the not the predator in this case. And so the way things are playing out, the deputy president is setting himself up to be the prey. He will be mauled mercilessly.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on Sunday Truth. Once again, remember, this is going to be a weekly show. Talking Heads, we want to put you on notice. We are watching you.
Absolutely.
Have a good evening.
See you.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.